Hello brothers and sisters, welcome to another episode here on Dangerous African Confessions HD. In this episode, there is a story from one of our brothers, who wants to share with us what he has seen or found about a pastor he was working for, when he was a member of his church. He shares with us in this episode the things that went on in the church and behind the closed doors when the members are all away. Our brother shares with us about what he saw about his pastor and some of the male church members. He said he was into this gay thing with some of the church members. He tells us he later realizes some strange things that were happening concerning these people. He was seeing them around the pastor. This, he said, was because the pastor disguised as helping them with their financial problems, and that is how he gets them into such acts with him. He said that the whole idea of sharing this with us is not to speak bad or put pastor's name in any bad position. But rather, he said that he wants the innocent people out there to always be vigilant about their pastors. Because there is always a man before God. The pastors do have their individual characters and behaviors before becoming the pastors that they are. Without taking much of your time, let us go and listen to his story.
Hello brother, how are you doing? I believe everything is well with you where you are. I have something that I wanted to talk to you about. This is the main reason why for some time now, I have not stepped my foot in any church. I cannot believe how much hypocrisy and ignorance there is in these churches. I am not against anyone going to church, that definitely is not my point. But then, I have really come to a point where I believe whatever you want to do as a person who is God walking in human flesh, you should ask yourself a lot of questions before starting to join or be a part of any group. Not just because you know it is a Christian thing or faith and so you just join. I remember there was this elderly man who I always used to go to for discussions, and he takes those times to advise me a lot about life and people in general. Honestly, I learned a lot from him. He wasn't someone who was a church person, but the wisdom that will come out of him to you when you visit was something deep. He was on another level. He told me some time back that if you visit any church and the leader or preacher always talks against one particular thing as being sinful, then there is that higher chances that he is doing same. He said that he is only telling you people about that, so you won't even have the time to think of him in that direction. He told me again that he is not against any religious beliefs and doctrines. But then he asked me that, what Bible was Abraham and all those ancient people reading before God said in the Bible that he is their friend and all that. I remember the day he asked me that question vividly like it is today that I am telling you this. He said if they didn't read any Bible and yet they were able to live a life that was pleasant to God, and for that matter their lives were recorded in the Bible, same way you can live a life not necessarily joining any group and still please God. I have definitely come to understand him perfectly. Why am I talking this way? You see brother, I happen to be a part or a member of this church in our community. And I was not just a member but was the very person who was in charge of cleaning the pastor's office and that of the other leaders in the church as well. We had about 5 to 6 offices in general at the church premises. And each of them had their own purpose. I was the person who had to make sure the place was all in order and decent for everyone. For that very reason, I had access to the pastor's office 3 times in a week. Because we had 3 services in the week. Sunday, Wednesday and Friday services. And because I was doing my own small business, I always had the opportunity to do my work as it was supposed to be done. Everything went on well and everything seemed fine until I started noticing something that I didn't understand. At first I told myself it wasn't something that must bother me, and so I brushed it off. You see brother, there were these particular 3 guys in the church. And 2 of them were in the singing ministry and 1 was a media person in the church. I started noticing how they talked about the pastor. And it didn't seem right to me. Because it was more like they knew the man more than we knew him. Because we were all guys in the church, sometimes we do come together and eat. Especially when they come for rehearsal and I am there to also do my cleaning work. When I question them as to why they say what they say, they will laugh and tell me that I don't know anything in this world. And these were guys who our pastor will always prefer them to be around him. And here they will always be talking about him. So I decided that I will find out the reason why. And also, what is it that they know that we don't know that warrants them to talk the way they do? So I started paying much attention to our pastor to see if there is something that will sell them out. Funny enough, from that point going, I was in church, but my attention and concentration was not there. I was completely a different person. I had now become more than an investigative journalist who was not ready to back down from his duties. And I will tell you something, it was a good thing that I decided to embark on such work. It gave me an insight that no one in the church knew, except the pastor and those guys. Because of how I was doing my work in the church, I was able to monitor the times that the pastor had his meetings with the guys. So when I got to know of the time and days that they normally meet, I decided to set up a video recorder in his office to really see what was going on inside his office. Honestly, inasmuch as I was willing to know what was happening, I didn't know what came over me to have the idea of setting up the recorder in his office. Little did I know that this very recorder was going to reveal to me something that I wasn't prepared for. So the day came and I saw one of the guys enter his office without him noticing I was at the far end of the church. So after a while that he came out of the office, I also saw the pastor come out of the office too. But then returned inside. I stepped out so that he wouldn't recognize me in there when he comes out. That very day after he had gone out of the office, I stepped in and checked on what the recorder had actually recorded. I was shocked to see what was playing right in my hand. This was my pastor, the one I revered so much when it comes to the ministry. He was busy making out with this guy. I never knew my pastor was gay. I couldn't believe what I was seeing. What shocked me even the most is that you could actually do this abominable thing right under the same roof where you praise your God. Everything didn't make sense to me again. Is this not the same pastor who talks about this act being something that God forbids human beings to engage in it? Everything that the boys were talking about was becoming so much clearer to me now. I didn't know what to even do with the video. Either to take it to the church elders, or what was it that I was supposed to do really didn't cut for me. I went home and that whole night, I couldn't sleep. I was shocked and saddened at the same time. So our pastor is not actually the person he claimed to be every Sunday morning. The next day, I took a decision to confront the guys about what they are actually doing with the pastor. I told one of them that I knew what was going on between them and the pastor. He was shocked at what I said to him. He then pretended as if everything was fine. He asked me what do I mean by me saying I know what was going on between them and the pastor. I replied him that I have seen all their dirty acts that they do behind everyone. And that is the reason why the pastor has them close to him. He just brushed what I was saying off with laughter and was saying I didn't know what I was talking about. And that nothing bad was going on. They were just as every other person is with the pastor and nothing else. My reason for doing what I did was to know what will come after I have told the guy that. I never knew they had actually gone and told the pastor about what I told the guy. He called me and asked what I meant by saying I knew everything that was going on between himself and the guys. I told him I have said nothing of that sort to anyone. And then, I asked my pastor what is it that was going on that will make the guy come tell him what I told him. He looked at me and sacked me in anger. So, in about a week's time, I was called in a meeting by the elders of the church. And they told me that I should give out all the keys to the offices because they were relieving me from my duties. I asked them what the problem was. They told me that I needed to just obey what they have told me. And so, I gave them the keys that were with me. But then, when I was leaving the church premises, I called one of the elders and told him that I would come to his house in the evening if he was okay with me coming. He said yes, I could do that. So that evening, I went to his house with the recorder and played to him what was on it. He was shocked to see what I had in my hands. So I told him, it is because of this that the pastor has ordered them to ask me to stop cleaning the place. I told him that I wasn't even ready to show or tell anyone about it. Until he decided to start what he started. I told the elder I was leaving the church and wouldn't love to go without telling him what is going on in the church without their knowledge. I further told him to act quickly if they are really concerned about the work of God. I left with him the recorder and ever since that day, I have never stepped foot in that church again, nor any other church for that matter. Whatever they did with the recorder, I have no idea. But to me, I feel I did what I was supposed to do by telling the elder what was going on. So, this is my encounter or experience when I was working with this pastor, who I never thought would one day turn out to be a gay. Thank you very much for your time, brother. Peace.
Don't forget to please subscribe, share and like our videos. Kindly hit the notification bell so you will be the first to get notification to our videos when we upload. Like I always say, these are not just stories for story's sake. They are meant for us not to make these mistakes our brothers and sisters are making. That's why we share these stories with you. After listening to this story, I will say that life indeed is something that no one can predict. And you can even seem to understand what life is all about. I honestly wish the youth of these days will listen to advice. What at all will you be getting from doing that with someone who claims to be a man of God? Don't you have no fear? If it is because of money that the pastor is giving you, what will you be using the money for if you start to have the negative effects of these things? If you are doing this because of money, money is important in human life, but money is not everything. And also, some of these so-called pastors are really doing things to bring the name of the Christian faith into the mud. How can a pastor behave this way? To the extent of doing this same abominable thing that the Bible you hold talks against in the same building that you preach. Sometimes, I don't like to judge people. But we should really be careful of where we go to, all in the name of looking for a place to worship. Before you commit yourself in anything, know the person who is leading the group. I honestly pray that whatever she will be doing will work well for her in the future. I pray that we learn from some of these stories and live a better life. If not for anything at all, it pays to live a decent and better life. Stay blessed and be safe. Thanks for being a part of this growing family. Kindly share your thought with us in the comment section below. And if you are new here, please subscribe, like and share.